I grew up in Milo, Maine, in Piscataquis County, and graduated from Pequot Valley High School. I was the first in my family to go to college at 17 years old to the University of Maine Pecha. College was life-changing for me, and I've worked in higher education since. I moved here 2 years ago to work at Thomas College, and I'm happy to introduce you to the Kennebec County chapter of Project Linus. I became interested in sewing when I was 10. Someone owed my mom some money and paid her with an old sewing machine. Mom put my name on it and a bow and stuck it under the Christmas tree. Little did we know it would be one of the most valuable gifts I would ever receive. Sewing has become such a vital part of my life that I look at potential houses with more of an eye toward studio space than I do kitchen space. In 1998, I saw a column in Family Circle magazine, People Who Make a Difference. It featured Karen Reindaler, who was inspired by the story of a young girl with cancer and the blanket that helped her through her many hospital visits. Karen wanted to make sure that children in treatment at Rocky Mountain Children's Cancer Center received a special blanket to see them through. Project Linus was born. My sister had just been diagnosed with breast cancer and lived far away in Iowa. She was a quilter and a child care provider. I called the number in Colorado to see about making a quilt to donate in her honor and talked at length with Karen. A week later, I received a very thick package in the mail with a note that said, "Thank you for volunteering to be a coordinator for Project Linus." I began by going to the local quilt groups to see if there was interest and support for this type of work. The results were a resounding yes. On April Fool's Day 1998, I took the first 10 blankets to the emergency ward at Eastern Maine Medical Center. The emergency, pediatrics, and NICU wards at EMMC have been the recipients of Project Linus blankets since. In 17 years as a coordinator, I've had some interesting experiences. I presented to a service organization in central Maine. I had a new 20-minute national video to share, but I debated showing it to this group of senior-aged men. After participating in choruses of Bringing in the Sheaves and She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain, I decided they had earned the right to watch my video. After showing them the video, I displayed some blankets and explained what I do as a chapter coordinator. I asked if they would take my brochures and share them with family and coworkers. A little elderly man in the back of the room raised his hand and asked if I would accept money. Of course I'd accept some money. I left that evening with a donation of $250. Did you have a special blanket or toy as a child and you turn to for comfort in times of need? Project Linus wants every child facing critical care or trauma to have a Project Linus hug to help see them through. There's no political or religious affiliation. It's as simple as collecting blankets from people who make them and distributing them through organizations and agencies who serve children. We have two missions. First, provide love, a sense of security, warmth, and comfort to children who are seriously ill, traumatized, or otherwise in need of gifts of new handmade blankets lovingly created by volunteer blanketeers. Second, provide a rewarding and fun service opportunity for individuals and groups in local communities for the benefit of children. A 6-year-old boy and his mom died in a car accident in my town. I gave blankets to his classmates. The superintendent called me. The children held a farewell ceremony for their classmate and released balloons. Afterwards, they dove into the pile of blankets and ran around the room like superheroes with capes, shouting and laughing. The blankets permitted them to be 6-year-olds again. At times, I've considered giving it up, but something happens. Once a family with a young boy was burned out and lost everything. I had a beautiful quilt from a first-time quilter with a bright turtle in the middle, and I sent it to that child. The mother sent a thank you note. How did you know that his favorite stuffed animal lost in the fire was a turtle? Yes, this work feeds my soul. This note arrived last week. On behalf of my husband, our newborn son, and myself, we'd like to thank all Project Linus volunteers for your efforts. Our son was born a month early, and we both had a difficult hospital stay. A staff member at Maine General gave us one of your blankets. We found great comfort in this gesture. Thank you for your thoughtful work. Here's a picture of our son, hard at work, growing. Project Linus is a national volunteer organization with nearly 400 chapters which have distributed over 5 million blankets to children. Within 3 days after Katrina, 18,000 blankets arrived from all over the country. The same magnitude of response happened after 9/11, after Columbine, and continues to happen on a large scale in response to the many tragedies that plague our country. Fabric departments at Marden's stores serve as drop sites for blankets, and they host an event each year to celebrate and support us. Pine Tree Quilters Guild offers us free booth space at their annual quilt show, which draws thousands of quilters from all over New England and beyond. Many organizations have supported us through grant funding locally and at the national level. Project Linus changes lives. This is Dean Carter. She lives in Bingham and brings her blankets to the Waterville Marden stores where I pick them up and distribute them in our region. She told me that she learned of Project Linus when she was in recovery from a serious illness. She believes that Project Linus was the reason she was spared. She has made over 3,100 quilts. We host blanket days a couple of times a year. In Dover Foxcroft last year, we had over 100 participants. The Women's Fellowship from the Congregational Church makes breakfast and lunch for these hardworking blanketeers as one of their annual service projects. People bring donations of blankets, fabric, and yarn. The energy and camaraderie in the room on one of these days is incredibly heartwarming. This project appeals to young and old. We have blanketeers as young as 6 who make fleece blankets or learn to sew at blanket days. We have folks well into their 90s, and generations work side by side. It's common for us to have moms and kids. It's a great way to introduce children to community service, and some kids are even asking to have Project Linus birthday parties. Project Linus coordinators are a family. I've met other coordinators in Hawaii, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. Every other year we have a conference where we network and share ideas. Charles Schultz gave his permission for us to use Linus as our mascot. With me and Linus is Judy Raymond, the Piscataquis County coordinator at the 2012 conference in Valley Forge. These blankets don't have to be fancy or complicated. Here are 5 steps to making a simple fleece blanket. 1, buy 1.5 yards to 2 yards of fleece and remove the selvage. 2, measure and mark with masking tape. 3, cut the fringe. 4, tie the fringe, remove the tape. 5, donate your blanket. These are on a handout in the back of the room. My chapter has delivered more than 11,000 blankets, and across Maine, Linus Blanket Hugs have found their way to over 42,000 children. I sincerely hope that the children in your lives never have the need for a comforting blanket, but if they do, my Project Linus family and I will do what we can to ensure that they receive one. Thank you very much.